This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to the new and improved Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. After many years of interviewing the best and brightest thought leaders around the world on my SiriusXM show, I am excited to now have those interviews available to people around the globe on this podcast. So many people would write us and say, I love what I've been hearing about your interviews with these great people. Where can I access them? I live in this country or that country, or I don't have access to that technology. How can I get the information? Well, I'm so excited now that we are able to offer the information and the interviews free on this podcast. So we want you to sit back and enjoy this message and let me know how you like them. And then do me a favor. If you like them, send a review, write a review and post it. And if you like it, hit like on here and share it and tell everybody you know about it, and then subscribe to this podcast so you'll get the alerts when we post a new interview episode. Thank you for listening and enjoy the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast.
Named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world. Inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame. Award-winning singer. Best-selling author. And now, here's Willie Jolley.
Well, folks, it's a great day. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show. And you know I start the same way. I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. Well, my question to you today is, what do you want to hear from one of the most profound and important doctors in American history? Well, today you get the opportunity to hear from the one and the only Dr. Anthony Fauci. That's right. He is here to tell you some secrets about health, wealth, and about living a great life. He has a new book, On Call, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service. We're going to go through his story and the impact his life has had on our country and on our individual lives. Well, you know, I start with that God's minute, only just a minute, 60 seconds in it. Then I take a moment to thank God, because that minute is from Dr. Benjamin Mays, Martin Luther King Jr.'s mentor, who helped him to grow and helped him to become who he became. And then I take a moment after God's minute to thank God. Thank God for life and strength and health. I take it every show. I know everybody doesn't believe like I believe or think like I think, but I am grateful. And I cannot just wash by all the blessings I've been given. The number one self-help show in the country now on SiriusXM. And it's one of the top 5 of the downloads globally on all the platforms, on podcasts, a syndicated daily radio show, and been able to be named one of the top 5 speakers in the world. All of that, but it's because of God's grace and his mercy. So I take a moment to thank him. And I say to you every week, God's gift to you is life. Your gift to God is what you do with your life. So do something extraordinary with your life. And today we got someone who has done something extraordinary with his life. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. But first, I got to take a moment after giving God glory to thank you, each and every one of you who has made this the top show in America, who has shared with your friends, your family members, your coworkers. You got to listen to the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show or listen to the podcast. And now we're excited. We're getting ready to launch the new video podcast, but you have made it possible. Each one of you, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support. And then I want to thank our friends at Truist Bank for their support. They have been incredible. They've been great partners, not just sponsors, partners. When you start with care, you build a different kind of bank. And that's what they've done at Truist Bank. Go check them out. Well, my guest today is someone you all know. His name is Dr. Anthony Fauci. He has a new book called On Call, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service. And let me just tell you a little bit about the reviews about this book. It's a book that is just like its author, well-spoken, plain-spoken, direct. It details the power of a remarkable story of a man who dedicated his life to public health despite sometimes steep personal cost. The book begins with a November 2020 phone call informing Dr. Fauci of the astonishing efficacy of Pfizer's new vaccine for COVID-19. The NIH Vaccine Research Center, which he had helped found, played a role in its rapid development. And then he flashes back to his middle-class upbringing as a son of first-generation Italian Americans in Brooklyn's Bensonhurst neighborhood. He writes of his early career path, taking him first to medical school, during which he lost his mom to an aggressive form of cancer. And then in 1968 to the NIH, where he made his reputation with research on anti-inflammatory diseases. His obsession with AIDS helped him and cost him, not only with people who criticized him, but also he lost his deputy director and very close friend, James Carroll Hill. He emerged with victory. He suggested in the book that both post-traumatic stress disorders and justifiable pride in his accomplishments, including his friendship with the AIDS activists who had once vilified him, had a profound impact on his life. He has taken his public health battles against avian flu, Zika, bioterrorism, and many others, Ebola. And he said something that was so profound. He jumped in to treat patients at the NIH during the Ebola outbreak. He wrote, because I did not want my team to take a risk that I was not willing to take myself. Wow. That is why we are grateful to have my friend, Dr. Anthony Fauci, as my guest today. Dr. Fauci, thank you for being on with me, my friend.
Thank you so much, Willie, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's great to be with you.
Well, it's an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor. Well, everybody in America knows Dr. Anthony Fauci, and he has had such an impact on so many people. He's changed lives. The AIDS epidemic and how he had a profound impact on helping to stem that. And of course, we know with COVID how he was a profound and important and critical part of us being able to get past that. Well, he has a new book called On Call, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service, and he has it's a wonderful detailed memoir from days from his struggles and his challenges and his upbringing. Let's start with that. How your upbringing, how did that happen? How did that have an impact and prepare you to become the Dr. Anthony Fauci we all know and love today?
Well, Willie, as you said correctly, it started off as a child in a working class neighborhood in Brooklyn called the Bensonhurst section. My father was a pharmacist at the time and owned a little pharmacy shop in the middle of this neighborhood, which was a very warm, very, as you meant, strongly ethnically Italian-American neighborhood in Brooklyn, very typical of the ethnically diverse neighborhoods that you would see in New York at the time of my boyhood, which was in the 1940s and the early 1950s. And at that time, Willie, the pharmacy that my father had was more of sort of a neighborhood hub to take care of people, because unlike the industrial pharmacies we have now, you know, the Walgreens and the CVS's. This was a place where people could go for family advice, for advice about marriage counseling, for people who were having stress in their lives. My father was there to serve the neighborhood and to be a public service in some respect. I mean, I was exposed to that, Willie, from the time I was like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. I helped work in the store. I delivered prescriptions on my Schwinn bicycle at all.
The Schwinn, the infamous Schwinn. I had one too.
Yeah, you put a basket on the front bars and you put the prescriptions in there and you deliver them. The reason I tell you that story is that I was exposed very early in life to the concept of public service and taking care of people. And I think that was one of the big founding sparks in me to want to serve people by becoming a physician. That was amplified by my early school training. I was trained in a Catholic elementary school, maybe in Guadalupe, taught by the Dominican nuns. Then I went to a Jesuit high school and a Jesuit college. And the reason I bring that up for your listeners is that the theme of the Jesuit training is service to others. So those were all very important landmarks in my upbringing from the time I was a child, a little boy in Brooklyn, to the time that I went to advanced education in college and then ultimately in medical school. So all of those early stories that I tell in my memoir, I put them in there, Willie, because I think they give you a feel for what was the motivation and the background that got me to where I am right now.
Wow. I want to take a moment about the service, because one of the things I talk about in my books, particularly my book, An Attitude of Excellence, is the importance of service and how Dr. King said, you don't have to have a college education to serve somebody. You don't have to know about Aristotle and Plato to serve somebody. But if you want to be great, you got to learn that service is the key to greatness. And so I think that's profound that you saw it firsthand from your father, and then you were able to see a business that was an entrepreneurial business that he took a chance. He somehow, he was the first generation. Was he first generation? Or
his parents were born in Italy and came over to Ellis Island in New York in 1903.
Wow.
He was born in the Little Italy section of Brooklyn. And when he was a young boy, they moved, in Little Italy section of Manhattan, down in Lower East Side of Manhattan. Mm-hmm. And then he moved to Brooklyn when he was a young boy. And that's when he met my mother, were married. And then I got born in Brooklyn.
Wow. Well, we are entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm always curious. Did your father ever tell you how he raised the money to start his own business?
Well, it was very interesting. He started his own business. He didn't have money because he graduated from Columbia College of Pharmacy and worked out in pharmacies at a very, very modest salary. His father, my grandfather, had saved enough money to essentially lend him the money to back him to put a payment on for the pharmacy so that he could take out a mortgage. So he could not afford it. He just had a small to modest amount of money from his father, my grandfather, who helped him do that.
Wow. Something led me to ask that question because I got a new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. And in the book, I talk about how much of the success that we see today and we want to see in the future is the result of real generational wealth, where we have parent who passes on a gift or a blessing to their children who they know and have educated them to be wise stewards of this gift. And that's what your grandfather did to your father. And obviously your father must have helped you and your I don't know if you had siblings, but go to school because you went to private schools all your life. So
yeah, but a little bit of a different story, Willie, just to be perfectly honest about it. My father, it was not a good business model in the pharmacy because he was so generous that he would often have people put their costs on a bill.
Yep.
And they were a poor neighborhood. And frequently, as I described this in the memoir, they didn't have enough money to pay, and he would just eat the cost.
Wow.
Well, we didn't have a lot of money. Fortunately, I won scholarships to high school, scholarships to college, and scholarships to medical school. So I was very lucky that I didn't have any educational costs. And I went to an all-scholarship high school, Regis High School in Manhattan. And then I won a scholarship to Holy Cross College in Massachusetts, and the same thing at Cornell Medical School.
Wow.
I was really lucky.
You were blessed.
I don't think my father could have come close to affording to send me to school.
Well, let me tell you, my thought on that is that your father blessed others. And because of his blessing others, the blessings poured onto you. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley with my special guest, Dr. Anthony Fauci. And for sure, the best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Friendship is not about being convenient. It's about being committed and consistent. You can call on me when you need me. Call me. You can call on me. Call me. You can call on me. Pick up the phone. You can call and call me.
Hey, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and support for the Dr. Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show comes from Truist Bank. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Home ownership is a blessing. That's right, it's a blessing. And the ability to build equity, value in a home that you own can be the foundation of creating wealth. Wealth that can be passed on for generations. Truist believes that a path to home ownership exists for you. I hear people say, well, I don't see how I could ever own a home. Well, Truist can help you buy a home with a low down payment. Connect with a Truist teammate to learn about the options available to you. Reach them by calling 855-257-4040, 855-257-4040. They really care. You can also visit truist.com/homebuyer, truist.com/homebuyer to calculate your mortgage payment. That's truist.com/homebuyer. Truist Bank is an equal housing lender. Remember, visit truist.com/homebuyer or call 855-257-4040. And we're back with Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast, heard around the globe now, around the globe. And I'm so grateful for all of you around the globe who listen to this show on your radio or on podcasts. I am always amazed at the letters and emails and notes I get from people saying, I'm in this place, I'm in that place. So continue to do that. Would you please, everybody? If you're in a different country, send me an email, info@williejolly.com, and just say, I'm listening from this country, that country. We want to send you a digital gift to say thank you for listening and letting you know that you can share it with your friends and family members. We'll send you a little digital book that will bless you and encourage you. But just send me an email, info@williejolly.com. Also, if you are anywhere and listening to the sound of my voice, go to winwithwillie.com. Winwithwillie.com. That's my suite of sites where you have my motivation for business, my motivation for personal, my motivation for young people, my marriage site, the Jolly Marriage site. We got the music site. We've got, if you want to be a speaker site, we got lots of sites there to help you in different areas of your life, to help you grow, help you keep going and keep winning. So go to winwithwillie.com. My special guest today is Dr. Anthony Fauci. He is the author. Well, you all know he's America's doc, but he's also the author of a terrific new memoir called On Call, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service. I'm telling you, this is a fantastic book. The reviews are incredible. And we are talking to Dr. Fauci about his life and how he became who we all know him to be now as a world leader in medicine and impacting people. Now, many of our audience members were introduced to you during the height of the COVID crisis, but the COVID pandemic was not the first time you were at a rodeo with public health crisis, because before COVID, there was HIV. Tell us a little more. You stood on the ground and said the challenge was too big for us to walk away during the HIV time. Tell us a little more. How did you know that was your calling to be so impactful on these major health challenges?
Well, as we all are aware, we didn't know anything until 1981, when the first cases of what would turn out to be HIV were recognized by 5 curiously young, otherwise healthy gay men in LA in June of 1981. And then in July, a month later of 1981, another report of 23 curiously all young, otherwise healthy gay men from LA, San Francisco, and New York City, who presented with a devastating disease that was not only a strange pneumonia, but a number of other opportunistic infections and cancers. At that time, Willie, I had been a rather successful clinical investigator who had developed a number of therapies for other diseases, inflammatory autoimmune diseases of the blood vessels that were very, very serious and were killing a lot of patients. So I was, luckily, I had a good mentor, and we hit on some important protocols, and we were saving a lot of lives. Then in 1981, when I saw those first reports of this strange disease, I know deep down in my core, Willie, that this was going to explode into be a literally earth-shaking pandemic. And unfortunately, I was right in my prediction back in 1981. So I changed completely the direction of my career and started exclusively studying and personally taking care of these desperately ill, young, mostly gay men. And those were the dark years of my professional career, because we had no therapy until years later.
Right.
So we were taking care of these people, almost all of whom were dying, usually within 12 to 15 months from the time that they presented to a physician because they knew they were ill. It was only 3 years later that the virus that causes this disease was discovered. And I devoted my entire research effort to studying the disease. And then in 1984, when I accepted the position as director of the Institute, that's when I put together a big program to develop the drugs in collaboration with the pharmaceutical industry that essentially turned around completely the prognosis of this disease, so that people now can take 1 pill a day and suppress the virus so they can lead essentially a normal life. So it was a long haul. I've been involved in HIV research for well over 40 years. But the very early years, Willie, I just felt an urgent need to do it, an empathy for the people who had it, who were discriminated against and stigmatized, as well as the scientific challenge of a brand new disease that was very, very serious. But
wow.
It all started in 1981.
I'm going to give a personal point of reference there. I was back in 81 singing for a living, and I was singing with a R&B jazz artist named Jean Carn. And many people who are jazz aficionados and R&B, because she had a #1 R&B hit. I was one of her background singers. And there was another background singer named Al Plowden, who was from New York and was a tremendous talent, just a tremendous gift. But he was gay. And we were best buds, and he'd come over to my house with my wife, and I would have dinner with him. And he got ill. And I remember he went back home to New York to try and figure out what this illness was, because he was at Howard University at that time. And we went to see him at the hospital, and no one could figure out what this illness was. And of course, it took his life. And I have been so mindful of how we have to be empathetic and caring and loving. Now, one more thing you said, that now we're at a point where you can take a single pill. And I think about Magic Johnson, who was impacted or infected with HIV, and how he talks about how his mindset also had an impact on his being able to recover. And I want to, as a doctor's perspective, how much does positive attitude, a positive mindset, how much does that play in illnesses like an HIV and AIDS? How much does that play in it?
Well, early on when there was no therapy, keeping a positive attitude, to hang in there, keep fighting, keep your chin up and do the best you can. Because when the drugs came, the drugs were miraculous, Willie. I mean,
right.
They literally suppressed the virus. And I can tell you, I participated with other doctors in the care of Magic. So I got to know Magic.
Wow.
When he first got infected, and I still communicate somewhat with him now. We've been on some panels together. You're absolutely right. The thing about Magic that was so great is that he projected that positive attitude because of his public persona. And when other people who were living with HIV saw Magic with a very positive attitude, they themselves were encouraged by that, and it really helped them. So Magic has done a lot to lift the spirits of persons with HIV.
Amen. I love this thing I say often about Magic. He says, I decided in life, and I want everybody to hear this, I decided in life to win. I wanted to win from childhood. So I won in high school a state championship. Then I won in college with a national championship. And then in my first year of the NBA, I won a world championship with the Lakers. And then in the Olympics, I won a global championship. And when I got HIV, I decided to win. It's a mindset. And that's why I wanted you to touch on it. You hit it right on the head. That mindset, your positive attitude. So folks, when you're going through tough times, when you're going through a health challenge, I want you to stay positive. Fill yourself with the pure, the powerful, and the positive. Listen to positive programming. If you're not signed up to my daily newsletter where I send out a 1-minute positive message to the world, you should sign up. Just go to wjwow.com, sign up, and I send you a 1-minute message just to encourage you, because I'm telling you, there are lots of challenges that you'll have in this life that we go through. Well, Dr. Fauci is our special guest, and I love this book. We only got a couple minutes in this segment, but this book is, you are direct. You tell the truth. You don't pull the punches. Is that how you've always been, Dr. Fauci?
Willie, yes. It's just, that's been me. I've been that way ever since I was a young man. I feel that I have a short time on this earth, so you might as well be very transparent and honest and do whatever good you can.
Absolutely.
And not be afraid of adversities. And as you mentioned, and I describe in the memoir, there have been a number of adversities that have come up that you had to tackle.
Yes. And that's part of life, folks. You're going to have adversities come up, even when you're doing what I would call God's work. When you're doing God's work, when you're doing something to help others, there's still going to be challenges. There are going to be situations, circumstances that come up. But it is your character, your determination, and as I like to say, when your backbone connects to your work bone, then you start to do stuff. And that's a pop mindset. I'll keep going to that because it's so profound. Well, we're going to take a break again for station identification. But before we do, I want to read one more little piece about this book. That was a great review about this book. How does one describe a middle-class boy born with raised in a working-class neighborhood who rises above his humble beginning to become an institution par excellence? His name is Dr. Anthony Fauci, and he is a doctor, a clinician, a scientist, a science administrator, and public health expert, and a national treasure. We'll be right back, folks, with more from Dr. Anthony Fauci. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. We'll be right back after station identification. Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I got an email from a gentleman in Australia who shared how he had been struggling in his business, and he bought some of my books and audios, and how it had a profound impact on his business, and he went from worst to first in his company. I shared with him how much I appreciated his note, but I told him those books, those audios, those videos were not just something that I just thought up one day and started to write. They were born out of my experiences, out of the challenges of overcoming the problems and the difficulties and how I was able to do it. And I shared with him that others have sent similar messages and that these resources work. I want to encourage you and invite you to go to my store. Go to wjspeaks.com/shop. wjspeaks.com/shop. Get some of the books. It only takes a minute to change your life. Or a setback is a setup for a comeback. Or turn setbacks into greenbacks. Or chicken soup for the soul. Or an attitude of excellence. Or the book I wrote with my wife after 34 years of being married and not having an argument in over 30 years. We wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. And now it is saving marriages all over the globe. Go to the store, get some of the audios, the videos, the books, the resources to help you have greater personal and professional success. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Make this a great day on purpose. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast around the world. And I want to thank you all for again listening. Please make sure to share this. Share this whether you're listening on the radio or whether you're listening on the podcast. Share it with people in your network and tell them to follow me on all the social media, because we want to encourage people in a massive way, massive millions and millions and millions of people who are living better lives, because of the information and inspiration we give with these wonderful guests that I bring on my show, and with the things I have learned or I am learning that I share on all of my platforms. Well, my special guest is the one and only Dr. Anthony Fauci. He is America's doctor, and he has a new book called On Call, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service. Dr. Fauci, where can people get this incredible book?
Well, it's certainly Amazon, and it's in all the bookstores. It's very popular. I'm very pleased and gratified, and in some places sold out. But most bookstores have it, but you can get it just by going online to Amazon.com books and just order it, and it'll get delivered.
All right. Make sure you get it, folks, and because you're going to be you're enjoying it as I have. Let me read one more review. Over his 54-year career in public service and public health, he has become the go-to man for 7 presidents, from Ronald Reagan to Joe Biden, managing numerous public health crises, including 2 of the worst pandemics in this century, HIV/AIDS and COVID-19. He guided research and helped shape public policy interventions on a multitude of public health catastrophes arising from numerous infectious diseases, including SARS, MERS, anthrax, avian influenza, measles, swine flu, Zika, and Ebola. And his motto was, you don't worry about that. You just keep telling the truth. His contribution earned him both accolades and criticism, and lots of folks who don't like him, yet he remained undeterred, consistently telling the truth as he understood it and correcting himself when they emerged. He has remained steadfast, advising all sorts of hate mail, harsh media coverage, death threats to him and his family, but he has earned the moniker, the most trusted doctor in America, and arguably the most trusted doctor in American history. I can tell you firsthand, when Dr. Fauci said, take the vaccine, I didn't even hesitate. I went as soon as my day was available, and I've gotten every update since then, because I've had COVID a couple times. I don't want it no more. I don't ever want it again. So,
amen.
Hey man, I don't want that no more. In fact, I've been telling people I got it last summer. Les Brown and I were doing an event in Denver, Colorado, and people coming up and wanting to take pictures and hugging us, and we both got COVID. And it knocked me to my knees. The first time was pretty easy. It wasn't that bad. I just kept moving. I kept riding my bicycle, just staying away from people. But that second one, I was crawling to the bathroom. And so I'm saying to people, don't fool around with this. It's critical because it can have a profound impact on your health for long-term situations. Okay, we've talked about you emphasize the importance of humility and learning from the populations that you serve. Can you reflect on how you situate yourself in the gay community and share how prominent HIV activists who were sometimes your enemies became your friends and helped to accelerate the HIV agenda and research?
Yeah, sure, Willie. Well, what happened was that in the early years of HIV, the biomedical and medical and scientific community, as well as the regulatory community with the FDA, did things a certain way in a structured, somewhat rigid way that worked very well for other diseases. It took care of the safety of the American public, and it helped develop drugs and vaccines for them. The only trouble is that with HIV, the persons who became ill with HIV generally had a lifespan of 12 to 15 months. So the slow, deliberative process that was used for other diseases was not well suited to the crisis that persons living with HIV or at risk for HIV were facing. Also, the government did not put enough resources in to the early years of HIV. During Ronald Reagan's administration, we did not have enough resources to address this emerging problem. So the activists wanted to be part of the discussion. They wanted to sit at the table with the scientific and regulatory community and say, here's how we can make the research agenda more effective. But understandably, but inexcusably, the scientific and regulatory community said, we know what's best for you. We've been doing this for a very long time. Do it our way. So they said, we're not going to stand for that. And that's when they started to protest, to be disruptive, to be theatrical, to be iconoclastic. And since I was a very visible figure at the time, because not very many people were working on HIV, that I became a target of their protest. And one of the best things I've ever done in my life, Willie, was instead of running away from that, which many of the scientists did, they were very intimidated by the protest. What I did, again, one of the most, I think, productive things I've ever done, I started to listen to what the activists, the gay activists, were saying. When I listened to what they were saying, Willie, they were making perfect sense. And I began to realize that if I were in their shoes, I would be doing exactly what they were doing. I would be protesting. I would be disrupting. And once I realized that, I embraced them and what they were doing and started to listen to their suggestions. And to make a long story short, it didn't turn around overnight, but after months and weeks and years, we finally had a good deal of collaboration and cooperation, and indeed deep friendships with the activists. And I described that very, very clearly in my memoir when I developed first adversarial, then cooperative and collaborative, and then deep, warm friendships with them. It was an amazing journey that I had with the gay activist community. And right now, to this day, in 2025, some of those original activists who were protesting against the NIH and the CDC and the FDA are some of my closest friends right now.
Great lesson there, folks. I hope you got that. You know, you can have a confrontational relationship or you can learn and listen. One of the things my wife and I talk about in our marriage book is that there are going to be times when you have to have critical conversations, but you got to understand the 4 F's. And I won't go into them now, but if you'll go to jollymarriage.com and watch the TED Talk my wife and I did, you'll get the 4 F's, how you never argue again. We haven't had an argument in 38 years, been married 40, and how you never argue. We haven't had an argument because we have a system. If you use the system, the 4 F's, they'll change your life. Go Jolly Marriage and check it out. Well, that's going with that same thought. I'm struck by the contrast between the HIV and COVID eras and the similarities between public perceptions, misinformation, and denialism of HIV, and then denialism of COVID. How did you handle that? What were your thoughts on how people deny such issues and yet it's taking people out?
Yeah, well, there's some stark differences between the HIV, the misinformation, and the misinformation with COVID. One of the lessons that's common to both is that disinformation, Willie, is the enemy of good public health. No doubt, because early on, of a selected few people denied the existence of HIV and said it didn't cause AIDS at all. And you shouldn't be taking medications because the medications are worse than the disease itself. And that the disease is caused by behavior, not by a virus, which was ridiculous because the scientific data that showed that HIV caused AIDS was overwhelming. I mean, totally overwhelming data. What happened, unfortunately, is that group of small people who were denying HIV influenced the leaders in South Africa, President Thabo Mbeki and his health minister, and they were looking for an excuse not to give drugs, government-sponsored drugs, to their constituents in the Republic of South Africa. And it was found out that over that period of time when they withheld drug, about 300,000 South Africans unnecessarily died because the government was not supplying drugs when drugs were readily available. Fast forward to COVID, where the denialism and the conspiracy theories are so profound that they get amplified by social media, which we didn't have back in the 90s.
Right.
It's only something relatively recently. So the misinformation that gets spread about vaccines and the conspiracy theories that get spread are much more pervasive because of the amplifying effect of social media. So it's much more serious now, where so many people believe that the vaccines don't work, or people say vaccines kill more people than the disease, which is absolutely preposterous, Willie.
Right.
When you look at the data,
the numbers. Just look at the numbers. Before the vaccine and after the vaccine. Just look at the numbers.
I know, but even looking at the numbers, people refuse to recognize reality, and they have their own set of what they call alternative facts.
Right.
Well, there are no such a thing as alternative facts.
There are no such thing as alternative facts. Right.
Exactly. There are facts and there are facts, period.
Right. Period. That's right. That's right. I love this. I love this conversation. For those who might have joined us, you know that voice because you've all seen him on television. You've all heard him on radio and on media. It's Dr. Anthony Fauci. He's discussing his life, his story. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible book, and it's called On Call: A Doctor's Journey in Public Service. You can get it at Amazon or any major bookstore. But he is here today as my special guest, and we've developed a friendship. I think so highly of him. And we're going to talk a little bit in the next segment about his family, because he didn't do it by himself. He did it with the help of his family, his wife, his daughters, and the impact they had on his thinking and keeping him calm. And the fact that I believe y'all were runners, so being able to get out for a run and get getting out for exercise, even in the midst of all the drama. So we're going to be right back with more from Dr. Anthony Fauci on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way show and podcast heard around the globe and trying to change lives in a massive way. We'll be right back, and for sure, your best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Motivated, highly motivated, gonna take it to the top. Motivated, highly motivated, I'm never gonna stop. I had a job I really hated. It made me sick, but it got me motivated. I knew that this was not where I was meant to be. I didn't want to stay, but I was too afraid to leave. Then one day I got my check, there was almost nothing there. I went to the boss, he laughed and said he didn't care. My kids were at home hungry, I was about to lose my home. That's when I decided I had to make it on my own. Gonna take it to the top. I said I'm motivated. Oh yeah, motivated. Said I'm never gonna stop. My friends said I was crazy when I told them all goodbye. But the only one who's crazy is the one who's afraid to try. They said I'd never make it, said I would not survive. But I knew I had to make it. It was either do or die. So I grabbed hold of my dream and I put it in my heart. I stepped out on my faith and learned to really trust in God. Knew I had to fight with all my power. Then things that happened and blessings came over.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and people often ask, how did I go from a broke, busted nightclub singer to become a best-selling author and to be voted one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters International? The answer is that I decided to invest and change my thinking, invest in my mindset, and decided to change my inputs because inputs determine outputs. I heard about a seminar years ago when I was just getting started. I was making about $100 a speech. And I heard this seminar that was creating millionaires, and it cost $10,000, but the guy was getting results. I didn't have that kind of money, but I decided to borrow it because I learned that there's a price for success, the price of college, the price of going to school, the price of education. And there's a price for success, and then there's a cost for not paying the price, the cost of staying the same. And that cost is greater than the price. It's too expensive. And so I went and it changed my life. And I came back and quickly made $100,000. I heard a similar story from Dr. Dave Martin, how he went to a success rally, heard a speaker who inspired him. He and his friends said, wow, that's changed my life. The speaker had a package of materials to help build wealth. The package cost $1,500. And that was all the money Dr. Dave had to his name. Dr. Dave's friend asked, do you think this stuff is worth it? Dr. Dave thought for a moment. He said, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. But I do know that I'm worth it. I'm worth it. He invested that money in that package and used the materials to grow his thinking. He grew his mindset. He shared how that $1,500 investment has gone on to generate millions in revenues. He's a multimillionaire. And he has homes now in Arizona and Florida. I want to say to you, it's time to invest in you. I want to give you some materials that will help you, grow your mindset, grow your future, grow your finances. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire. wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get some materials that will inspire your success and will help you find that there's a price for success, but there's a cost for not paying the price. And the cost is always greater than the price. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire and get the bag, the box, or any of the materials there and keep growing your wealth. And remember, as a man thinketh, so as he is, and your best is yet to come. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way show and podcast around the country, around the world. My special guest today is a name and a person you all know. He's the author of the brand new book, On Call, A Doctor's Journey to Public Service, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Fauci, you have been a leading voice for so long, and you've made such an impact. Is this true, 7 presidents?
Yes, starting with Ronald Reagan and ending with Joe Biden.
Wow. And you've been able to continue to do the work, and they trusted, most of them, but trusted your emphasis and your intellect and your character. But you did not do this by yourself. Okay, you did not. I have to talk about this book and your life with. I can't do it and talk or any of our conversations up without mentioning the anchors in your life, who are Christine, your wife, and your daughters, Jenny, Megan, and Allie, and more recently, your granddaughter, Lena. So you talk about them in the book, specifically in the chapter entitled La Familia. How do you say it correctly?
La Familia.
La Familia. How do you manage that husband, dad, granddad, and professional in all your things that you do? Is it possible to have it all?
Well, yeah, yes, but there are sacrifices with that. You can't have it full blown all. There's just not enough time in a day to do that. So, as I often say, Willie, I wouldn't put myself up as the poster child for a good work-life balance at all. However,
yes,
I've made it through because of the point that you picked up, and I'm glad you picked it up, because I try to make that point in the book. You need some sort of support structure. And I was very, very fortunate. My wife, Dr. Christine Grady, we've been married 40 years in this coming May.
Hey!
We
are probably a few weeks difference in getting married. Okay, you did what I did, over married. But go ahead. Over married, way over married.
We met. She used to be a nurse at the NIH hospital where I was a physician, an attending physician. We met in the course of taking care of patients together, and we got married. So she understands my field and the demands on the field. She then went on to broaden her professional capabilities and is now the chair of the Department of Bioethics at the NIH. She definitely understands me and is very, very supportive, as are my three daughters, who are adult young women right now. And as you mentioned, my granddaughter is chipping in, even though she's a very young little baby at 19 months old.
Yes,
is to just keep me steady and measured. You need that, Yes. There's that saying that no man is an island, Willie. That is really true. And I was very, very fortunate in having a family that was very understanding of my very, very difficult schedule. I mean, during the very difficult years of HIV, where I was working 15, 16 hours a day at the hospital, and then with COVID, over the first couple of years, I think I was averaging 4 hours of sleep a night.
Wow.
Which was not good for your health.
Right.
And I had my wife there saying, you've got to drink water, you've got to sleep, you've got to eat. So she took very good care of me.
Wow.
You're right. I couldn't have done it alone.
You could not have done it alone. You got those anchors that make a profound impact and profound difference. As I have anchors, my wife, my children, my grandchildren, who keep me anchored and centered, and then my faith. And so we are grateful for that. Now, I ask a question of every guest that comes to this show. I'm going to ask you the same question. So if you were in Washington and you were giving a speech, and I came to hear you speak, and I hollered and screamed in the back and gave you a standing ovation, and then we went to lunch, and then we went over to Howard University, or my alma mater, American University, and went to a class of wannabe success stories. They want to be successful in their lives and in their businesses. I want you to think and give them a couple you got us. In order to be successful in life and in business, here's some things you got to do.
Right. Well, first of all, one of the things that's very important is you have to work hard.
Amen.
I mean, if you look at people who've been successful, and just take a sports analogy, Willie, you get people like Steph Curry and the late Kobe Bryant. They said, gee, what a great jump shot. except they practiced that jump shot 20,000 times.
Right. That's right.
You know, that's how they got good. So you got to put some serious work in. That's number one. Number two, you need to pick out the direction in your life that you can feel passionate about. You want to do something that you really feel belongs in your bailiwick. You really want to, whatever it is, you know, it could be science, it could be the clergy, it could be sports, it could be business, but something that you feel very, very passionate about. That would be the second thing.
Yes.
And the third thing, stick to your fundamental principles of doing what you do with a degree of honesty, transparency, and integrity.
Wow.
Because regardless of what your field is, there are going to be obstacles. There are going to be people who are going to misinterpret what you're doing. There are going to be oppositions. If you stick to your honesty, transparency, and integrity, you will be fine. So those are the three things that I would recommend.
I love those. Let's make sure y'all got those things, folks, that you've got to. I really love the integrity and the character and transparency. Having integrity. I talk to my children about have integrity, have character, do the right thing, even if you have to pay some cost for it. You've got to be able to stand on that, because over time and in the long run, it will always make the most impactful difference in what you do. And then you got to be passionate about love and love of what you do. If you do what you love, they say you'll never work a day in your life. Well, that's not quite true. You're going to work, but it does make the work better. There are a lot of people who have made a lot of money, but they're miserable in getting up to go to work, where if you are able to do what you love, there's a joy that comes from it. And then you got to work hard. There's no replacement for hard work. That is critical. Get up and go to work and then I add when you work hard, work to pursue excellence. What I'm telling you folks is pursue excellence everywhere you can, whatever you can, wherever you can, be excellent, because excellence will pave a path in front of you. And Dr. Fauci is a great walking, talking example of that. He was excellent at each place where he was placed. Wherever he bloomed, where he blossomed, he bloomed where he was planted. He blossomed and bloomed wherever he ended up at each level, whether it was the director of HIV or director of NIH, wherever he was, he gave his best and he was excellent. Any regrets, Dr. Fauci? That's the last question I got. Any regrets?
No, Willie, I don't have any regrets. I wasn't perfect in the things I've done, and I hopefully learned from mistakes and missteps, but I have no regrets for the things that I've done.
That's another lesson, folks. Be willing to say, I'm not perfect, and when I mess up, go and fix it. Okay, don't let it linger. Fix it quick, handle it quick. If you offend somebody, apologize quick. Get it done with, particularly if you're married. Apologize. If you offend your spouse, do it quick. Don't be lingering. Don't be going on and on. Do it quick. Let's move on so we can get this together. Dr. Anthony Fauci, again, I want to thank you for being my special guest on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way show and podcast. Again, folks, the book is called On Call, A Doctor's Journey in Public Service, with Dr. Anthony Fauci. Thank you, my friend, for being with me.
Good to be with you, Willie. I appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be with you.
Hang on one second, because I want to do one last thing when we get off air. Folks, I want to thank Dr. Fauci, and I want to thank each one of you for being my guest and being part of this show today. You know what? You make the difference, not just me and my guests, but you make the difference, because we are grateful to be able to serve you, to try and give you something that will make your life better and have greater success. So thank you for being the best audience in the world. Please continue to share this video, this message, this audio, this program with people in your network, because we want to help people grow. I want to encourage you each to go to winwithwillie.com, winwithwillie.com for resources to help you win more. And then I want to thank our sponsor at Truist. They are concerned about getting people a home that they can call their own. And Truist Bank can help you achieve that goal. The smart first step to building a life and buying a home is knowing how much you can afford. A Truist mortgage professional can help you understand that in just a few minutes. Connecting with a lender first help you to be more confident in your search. Truist offers loans that can help you become a homeowner with a small down payment. Best way to find out if you qualify for a low down payment loan, talk with a Truist mortgage professional. Visit Truist.com/homebuyer. Truist.com/homebuyer. See current rates, get a sample mortgage payment, and find resources to help you buy a home. And you can talk to a trusted Truist mortgage professional about your loan options. Having that relationship can help you find the best financing options available to you today. After applying, you can check your status with the Truist Mortgage Progress Tracker. And Truist is an equal housing lender. See what you can do when you start with care. It can build a different kind of life because they build a different kind of bank, Truist Bank. Well, go to winwithwillie.com and then visit and stay with us every Monday night for the Jolly Marriage Show at 9 o'clock Eastern on A Jolly Marriage on Facebook, A Jolly Marriage on Instagram, Willie Jolley LinkedIn Live, and you can see the replays on the Jolly Marriage Show on YouTube. This will help your relationships, and you'll be like Dr. Fauci and I. We're going into 40 years soon because we learned some serious lessons. Have a great week on purpose, everybody. I'll see you next week, and for sure, your best is yet to come. God bless you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and I hope you got something of great value. And I hope that you were inspired, you were motivated, you were empowered, and you were encouraged to live your best life. I hope this information and this inspiration will help you to do more, be more, and to achieve more. That's the goal why I started this program, and I hope it helped you in a mighty way. Now, I ask you to make sure and that you take full advantage of all the resources that came through this program. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/gift and get some of the free resources that we have there for you. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/shop to get some of the books that we have created, that we've labored over to make sure that they will deliver a powerful message to you. I hope you go to williejolly.com/billionaire, williejolly.com/billionaire, or wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get the box that it will inspire your whole family, or get the bag of books. Make this a great day, a great week, a great month. And remember, it is true that you are blessed and all things are possible for them that believe. So make the most of the belief that you have now in your future. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Have a great day.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.